Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and it's time to spend some time in nature. The majority of the nature in this vlog will be reading about nature settings, but if the weather cooperates, which it hasn't been entirely this last week, hopefully I will actually get out into nature next weekend. There's a fun little event happening in my local botanic garden, and I have been trying to figure out a way to incorporate it with some level of naturalness to a vlog, and this seemed to be the way to potentially do it. I wound up just by chance, not intention, getting two nature-related books onto my prompt ball TBR this month. That's The Eye of the Ouroboros by Megan Bontrager and Heartwood by Emma D. Gage. These both have a nature setting. Both happen to have a kind of park worker, someone who goes looking for missing people in parks character. I don't want to make that the theme. Definitely don't want to get lost in nature during the span of this vlog, but the nature link between these two is where we're going to be capitalizing. I'm hoping to get to both of these. Probably will start with both of these just so I'm working towards not failing my TBR for the month. But beyond that, I definitely have a few more books in mind that I would love to get to in the not too distant future. So here's hoping that this will work out well for me. So with that, I will keep this introduction fairly short, pretty self-explanatory what's going on here, and I will be back once I have some book thoughts for you. I have made my way halfway through Eye of the Ouroboros, and I'm generally liking this one quite a bit, actually. The book starts off, we're following Theodora, and she goes by Theo. She is a park worker, and as the book opens, she's on a hunt for a missing little girl. Most people have kind of given up looking for this little girl. She's been gone for a week, and that generally means they're now looking for a body, not for a living girl. But she is determined. She has a history with her sister having gone missing and never been found, and that makes her even more determined. And that helps her to find this little girl. This little girl is not in great condition when she finds her, but she does reunite her with her family. The little girl does comment on some things that make her curious. She talks about music. She's missing toes. There's just little things that are a little bit weird, and it piques Theo's interest even more. We then witness Theo at a family dinner. Her mother invites her over, and we learn that her mother really hates her. And the feeling's pretty mutual, but everyone blames Theo for her sister's disappearance when she was a kid. And that includes Theo having a lot of guilt over this as well. The father's maybe slightly more sympathetic to her, but the mom is just horrible and tells her she has to come to this dinner, but then treats her deplorably the whole time. Theo is relying on alcohol to get her through things, and that a little bit makes her unreliable, but so far I'm not finding her too unreliable. She begins finding more and more weird things in the forest, and she starts also seeing things at night, and that's where the kind of unreliable nature of things go. Is it nightmares? Is it alcohol-induced something? Is it real? What is it? I don't know. And she has a best friend who works with her at the park. She has a woman that she obviously has some sort of past with romantically, and that woman is also a reporter, which complicates the relationship because parts of her life have been newsworthy as well, and I gather that's created tension there. As we know from the synopsis, there's something called the Federal Bureau of Reality, and that is somehow tied into all of this. There are some slight Fringe vibes if you've watched Fringe, the TV show. Not at all in terms of the characters and the plot and so forth, but the idea of alternate realities and there being some sort of disaster that's causing a crossover potentially between realities. I'm finding it very intriguing. There's a lot of what just happened type of moments, and it's really easy to read. I am about halfway through. I'm at about page 125. It's not very long of a book, and I am eager to see where this winds up. It doesn't have an audiobook, so the fact that I made it through half the book yesterday just sitting down and physically reading is pretty impressive for the book, and I am definitely looking forward to finishing it up, and I'll be back once I do. I'm back with some updates for you. First off, I did finish up The Eye of the Ouroboros. This is the naked hardcover copy. Little furry face lost a toy under the bookshelf. She's now found the toy. We'll see if that becomes a problem. Yeah, becoming a problem. Buddy, chill. So first off, I finished up The Eye of the Ouroboros. This is the naked hardcover version. And I would say this one lost me for a good chunk of it before we got to the end. It gets a lot more into real life places and less into the weird in-between worlds, portally, all of that type of vibe. And that lost my attention by quite a lot. I think in the end, I liked the ending of it. It did kind of come back to what I wanted more out of this book. But ultimately, I found it just was a little bit too slow. There was stuff that I personally would have taken out. And I did like the way it ended. But overall, I think this one's getting a 3 or a 3.5 from me. I think the kind of concepts of dealing with trauma and the after effects of that was done well. I think the characters had some decent moments and so forth going on in it. But I think the relationships could have been fleshed out a little bit better. And it's just not one that's going to be sticking in my head long term, I don't think. I think it had some really interesting concepts, but that's where we are at with that one. And then yesterday I went ahead and started Heartwood. And so far I'm really enjoying this one. I'm about 40% of the way into it. And it's definitely slower paced than I maybe expected going into it from the synopsis. But I am really enjoying the format of it and everything else. This one we are following a cast of characters, but Valerie is kind of at the center of everything. She has been hiking the Appalachian Trail. She's in Maine, I believe. And her husband has been following along in a car, meeting up with her periodically, so she has breaks and a chance to come off the trail and so forth. There's a lot in here about the trail, about the whole culture of hiking it and assigning names and getting to know people who are on the trail and at way stations and so forth that I find really interesting. We're watching Valerie, and at the point the book starts, she's lost and we don't know exactly what went wrong. But she is writing letters to her mother and kind of processing her fear and her trauma and kind of realizing she might not survive this through those letters. And the book actually starts as Dear Mother, and it's a kind of connection between her and this mother. The other POVs, we get kind of the people who are searching for her, which I found interesting, tying that back to The Eye of the Ouroboros, having that kind of search and rescue theme going on in there as well. We are following other people who have walked the trail. We are following a woman who's older who maybe thinks she has a connection to this lost hiker when she hears about them, and their correspondence with someone with some conspiracy theories about this area where the woman's lost. So there's a lot of different POVs, and I am finding it very interesting. The synopsis indicates that her disappearance may not have been accidental, and I'm really curious to see what comes of that. Is there something that's going to be sinister? Is there something that's going to be her making a choice? Or we're going to get with that. So the audio for this one, which is the way I'm mainly consuming this, is really well done. We have 6 different narrators at least, and that's really helping kind of keep straight the different POVs and so forth in here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on and let you know my final thoughts. Hello, I am back for a long overdue update. I honestly couldn't find my book, so that contributed, but I did just finally remember where it was, and I therefore have an update for you on my nature experience. First of all, yesterday I did get out to the thing that I've been, I think, hinting about of an outing to go with the nature theme, and it was to go see dinosaurs. Are these necessarily the most natural of nature dinosaurs? No. These are animatronic dinosaurs, but they are put into the botanic gardens that exist near me, and it was just kind of a fun added thing to the little nature walk around the garden, and a nice break since we did finally get some nice weather to get out and enjoy it. It wasn't too cold. It was a nice, a little bit overcast day. We wound up getting there later in the afternoon. We went out to lunch, my best friend and we did a little bit of shopping at the mall before we went out to get to the botanic garden and explore around. I think we saw pretty much all of the dinosaurs in our ventures around, and it made for a really nice Saturday. Kylie's running around and distracting me. She wants to come up, but she wants to do it on her own, but she has little legs. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You want to come up? Well, we decided you needed help. That's fine. Okay, we have a Kylie. I'm trying to do a vlog update and you're being very distracting. We've been reading downstairs and chilling and relaxing, and so I got up to film vlog update and she decided to become chaos mode doggy. So you sit here with me. I am halfway now into Hazelthorn and looking forward to continuing it. This is by C.G. Drews. It just came out. I've been listening to it mainly on audio just because I was able to get that from the library, and it was my commute book at the end of last week. This is a really stunning cover and I'm having a really good time with this one. We are following a young man named Evander, and he is sickly. He's been taken in by this billionaire as his ward, and he's basically been given a room. He's been told that he can't leave the estate, he can't go in the gardens, and he can't go anywhere with the ward's grandson. They're about the same age, but once upon a time, Laurie, the grandson, tried to kill Evander, and we don't really know at the beginning why that is, and things get a bit of a shakeup. The grandson is really only around on school breaks. He goes away to school, so it's usually not a huge issue that they can't be around each other, but something has happened at the beginning of this book that means that they are going to be in close proximity to each other. There are some surprises within the family and so on and so forth. So I double checked the synopsis and it does reveal the fact the ward passes away and the entire estate is given to Evander, who's not the biological relative. All of the family members haven't been allowed on this estate all these years except for the grandson, who comes home during school breaks only, really has nowhere else to go, I believe. But now the estate is in Evander's name. He then suddenly kind of has freedom, and yes, he's been sickly. Yes, he's kind of locked away for all these years, but now he's kind of getting the opportunity to explore a little bit. There's definitely a connection going on between him and the grandson. Whether that's for good or for bad, that remains to be seen to some extent, but Evander believes something not natural happened to the ward, and he's slowly trying to bring Laurie around to his way of thinking to try to figure out what happened. There's something mysterious also about the garden. There's a lot of really dangerous things there. It seems to be kind of escaping its bounds a little bit, and there's a supernaturally feeling to this going on as well. The back of the book says there is something wrong with the garden. So I really think this has good atmosphere. I love good atmosphere in like a horror book, a gothic-y almost horror book going on, and I am very intrigued to keep going on this and finish it up. And I think this is going to be the final book for this vlog. I had hoped to get to one or two more things, but me getting sick in the middle of reading my nature books, my reading took a hit. So I think this is going to be the last one I get a chance to read for this particular vlog. I managed to reschedule one of the books I was thinking into my December TBR, which will already be up by now, and I had a nonfiction that I was hoping to get to as well, which I am going to be reading, but I'm not going to be finishing it by the time this vlog ends. So with that, this is where we're at, and I will be back when I get to final thoughts. He's waving. Hello. I am back with final update because I have finished up Hazelthorn. Can you see the puppy? I think you can. She is very excited because I just got home from work. Anyway, I did finish up Hazelthorn, which of course excites Kylie as well. But I really enjoyed this one. I think it did a lot of things really well. It did the atmosphere really well. It did reveals really well. There were definitely things going on in here that I did not know to expect from it. I think based on this and based on Don't Let the Forest In, which is the book of C.G. Drews that I had read previously, previously. This is definitely an author I'm going to continue to follow and enjoy. There's definitely, I really like the way this author uses nature as part of the horror and includes those elements in there. This for sure will work for the eco horror, for the horror bingo from Sarah at Wicked Reading. I will be swapping this one in probably in that field, I think. I liked the darkness to this, the kind of atmospheric setting, the garden, the plants, the confusion of our main character, and the different things we learn along the way for that. So we are ending this vlog definitely on a high note in terms of the book. I had a fantastic time with the dinosaurs as well, and overall just really glad this worked out in my favor. Let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these books? Do you have any favorite nature themed reads that you would recommend for me? I'd love to hear. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, I think a dinosaur emoji would be absolutely fantastic to let me know you were here, since the dinosaurs definitely were a highlight of my week. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my themed reading vlogs, more of my book reviews, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll go ahead and leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.